show him what he needs. Foundations keep my heart on lock. I could get lost in your life. Go for broke, go for broke. Shut down stores, shut down stores. Say I'm good, babe, as long as I'm with you. Do anything. Tell me, are you down for me? Tell me. Look at it in a hurry. Hit me now, I'll be in the lobby. Love how you're been good. It ain't always been pretty. We've been up, we've been. I just want your love. So when the world looks like oh, that's really cool. Keeping my peace and drinking these gallons. No blockers, melanin pop. Staying grounded in my New Balance. You make me feel like you're mine. Fuck it, let's go off it. You know I like it all, yeah.
They don't warn you what happens when a woman in the music industry starts saying no. No to the fake relationships. No to the image flips. No to the producers who want more than a hit song. At one point, Maya was everywhere platinum plaques. Grammy wins, iconic collabs. She was R&B royalty. Then, almost overnight, gone. No messy tabloid scandal, no public meltdown. Just silence. And the craziest part? Behind that silence was a system designed to shut her up. There were whispers of blackballing, shelved albums, leaked records, and feuds with some of the most powerful people in the game, including Beyoncé and Jay-Z. And when Maya refused to play the industry's game, they didn't just step back, they erased her. But here's the twist. Instead of begging to be let back in, she disappeared on her own terms and built something that might be even more powerful. Stick around till the end, because this story isn't just about one woman's fall from fame. It's about what happens when you choose freedom over fame and how that decision can cost you everything. Before the drama, before the rumors, before the silence, there was a girl from Washington, D.C. named Maya Marie Harrison. And when we say triple threat, we mean certified problem. Sis was classically trained in ballet, tap, and jazz before she even hit high school. And once she added singing and acting to the mix, it was game over. She dropped her debut album, Maya, in 1998, and it did numbers. Her single, It's All About Me, with Cisco, was a whole cultural reset. The vocals were smooth, the vibe was grown, and the industry noticed. She wasn't just a one-hit wonder floating on a hook. She had range. Then came Fear of Flying in 2000. That's when things really exploded. Case of the X became every girl's breakup anthem. If you didn't fake a hair flip in the mirror to that track, did you even live through the early 2000s? By 2001, she was standing shoulder to shoulder with icons. Christina Aguilera, Lil Kim, P, and K. That Lady Marmalade collab? Grammy, charts, destroyed. Maya wasn't just a rising star, she was a force. And while the public saw flawless performances, red carpets, and Billboard love, behind the scenes things were already shifting. She wasn't just following the script anymore. She wanted to write her own. And in the music industry, that is usually where the trouble begins. By the early 2000s, Maya wasn't just a pop princess. She was building her legacy. But as her fame grew, so did her control over the music. And in this industry, that is where the problems usually begin. Her third album, Mood Ring, marked the shift. It was bold, experimental, and deeply personal. She was writing, co-producing, and refusing to stay in the box the industry built for her. No more bubblegum R&B. This was a woman with something to say, and not everyone was ready for that version of Maya. She started pushing back on label decisions, questioning budgets, challenging her image. She wanted creative freedom. They wanted marketable compliance. You can probably guess how that played out. Behind the scenes, things were getting tense. Her label allegedly stopped giving her the same support. Promo budgets started drying up. Interviews got canceled. Delays kept stacking. The energy shifted, and not in a good way. Maya was no longer the obedient prodigy. She was evolving into an artist with vision. But in a business where control is currency, that kind of independence gets you labeled difficult. Or worse, disposable. And just like that, the same machine that once lifted her up started pulling away quietly, intentionally, like she was never even there. This is where things went from tense to toxic. By the mid-2000s, Maya had built a reputation as not just a performer, but a creative force. So when it came time for her next project, she didn't just want to sing the songs. She wanted to produce them, shape the sound, control the vision. That album was Liberation, and it was supposed to be her moment. But the rollout was a disaster. The release date kept getting pushed, promos were half-hearted, and just when it seemed like the label might finally get behind it, the entire project leaked online before it ever reached the shelves. The whole album was out there for free, and instead of responding with support, her label shelved it completely. No formal release, no tour, no chart campaign. It was like Liberation had never existed. And if you know how the music business works, you know what that means. No release equals no royalties. And when an album leaks, it's considered technically released, whether the artist agrees or not. That means the label gets to keep the money they owe. If Maya wanted to fight it, she would have had to take them to court, drain her own savings, and battle a system built to shut her down. So she walked. She left the label, turned down the legal fight, and made the decision to go completely independent. No more waiting for budgets. No more compromising her sound. If the industry wanted her quiet, she'd make noise her own way. It was a bold move, but it came with a cost. The second she stepped out of that machine, the spotlight started fading. Radio stopped spinning her songs. Blogs stopped covering her. Award shows stopped calling. They didn't just shelf the album. They started shelving her. After the Liberation fallout, most artists would have disappeared quietly or begged their way back into the system. But Maya? She pivoted. And not in a cute, PR-approved kind of way. She went fully independent before it was trendy, before Instagram made it seem empowering, and definitely before it was easy. Her first move was unexpected. She dropped an album exclusively in Japan. No major rollout, no US promo circuit. Just a quiet release for an audience that still respected her artistry. That decision set the tone. Maya was done playing by the industry's rules. If the door was closed, she was going to build her own. She launched her own label, Planet 9, funded her own music, and started performing on her terms. Studios, visuals, mixes, even distribution, she handled it herself. That meant no more label politics, no more asking for permission, and no more waiting around while executives decided if she was marketable enough. But freedom isn't glamorous when you're doing everything on your own. There were no big budgets, no chart-topping hits, no industry machine to amplify her. And yet, she kept moving. Album after album, project after project, Maya became a blueprint for how to survive outside the system. She wasn't in every headline, but she was present, touring overseas, dropping music directly to fans, working with artists who respected her grind. She leaned into her independence, not as a fallback plan, but as a lifestyle. And slowly, her silence became her power. In an era when artists still chase validation from the same machine that chews them up, Maya's choice to bet on herself was rare, risky, quiet, but intentional. And for the first time in her career, she didn't owe anyone anything. You'd think that once Maya stepped away from the mainstream, the industry would leave her alone. But instead of peace, she got a storm. And it didn't come in the form of public beefs or official statements. It came in whispers, rumors, and internet gossip that spread like wildfire. At the center of it all was a name no one expected to be tied to hers: Jay-Z. Out of nowhere, during the peak of the Beyoncé and Jay-Z cheating scandals, Maya's name started popping up on the blogs. First, it was media takeout, claiming Maya had been Jay-Z's secret girlfriend for over a decade. Then Crazy Days and Nights posted a blind item that all but named her as his longtime side piece, saying she had been kept by him and funded in exchange for her silence. The story got messier by the minute. Matching outfits, private events, cryptic lyrics, and of course, the internet did what it does best. It ran wild. Suddenly, Maya was the villain in someone else's marriage. And when the Bayhive got wind of it, it was open season. Fans started coming for her on social media. There were reports of actual threats. People labeled her a homewrecker without a single shred of proof. Maya had to publicly deny everything, firmly stating that she was never involved with Jay-Z and never would be. She called out the rumors as lies from thirsty, illegitimate sources and made it crystal clear that she pays her own bills, runs her own label, and doesn't need a man to bankroll her life. But it wasn't just the Jay-Z drama. Around that same time, rapper The Game went public, claiming he had dated Maya. He even said she used to cook for him and sleep on an air mattress with him when he was still broke. The way he told it, she was nurturing, spiritual, and deeply kind. It sounded sweet on the surface, but it also felt like an overshare. And then came 50 Cent, who decided to drop a bar implying he had been with Maya first. Just like that, her name became a punchline. Again, no confirmation, no receipts. Just male rappers casually throwing her into songs and interviews for clout, knowing the headlines would stick to her, not them. Maya responded with grace, but didn't hold back. She called out the lies, the character assassinations, and the way people use women's names to boost their own image. She even shared a story about a private conversation where one of those men allegedly admitted to lying. But by then, the damage had already been done. Because here's the thing, when a woman chooses independence in this industry, people start looking for ways to punish her. And if they can't silence her voice, they'll go after her reputation. They'll rewrite her narrative until the public forgets who she really is. Maya never lashed out. She never tried to go viral with a clapback. She simply stood in her truth and let the lies crumble under their own weight. But behind the scenes, the smear campaign worked. Industry people started treating her differently. Media outlets became hesitant. Labels kept their distance. The whispers were loud enough to keep her locked out, even if they were never true. By the time the Jay-Z rumors started fading, Maya found herself pulled into even more headline chaos. This time, it wasn't whispers from faceless blogs. It was two of the biggest rappers of the early 2000s dragging her name into the spotlight for reasons that had little to do with music. It started when The Game, during an interview, went on a whole nostalgic trip about his early days in the industry. He brought up Maya like she was his high school crush turned real-life dream girl. According to him, they dated during a time when he was just coming up, still broke, sleeping on an air mattress with no furniture. He talked about how Maya would come over, cook for him, and just vibe in his empty condo. He painted her as this soulful, grounded woman who felt like a mix between Erykah Badu and Jill Scott, calling her organic and beautiful. It almost sounded romantic, until you realized he was using her name to build a narrative about his own come-up. She became a symbol, not a person. And once again, Maya had no say in it. Then came 50 Cent, who never misses an opportunity to stir the pot. He dropped a line in a song suggesting that he had already been with Maya before The Game ever got the chance. It wasn't subtle, and it definitely wasn't respectful. It was messy, calculated, and designed to one-up someone else by using a woman's name like a trophy. When a reporter from 50 Cent's platform tried to approach Maya on the red carpet, she shut it down immediately. She wasn't rude, but she was firm. She made it clear that she doesn't entertain people who lie, manipulate stories, or disrespect her character for attention. Her words were calm, but the message was loud. She was not here for the games. Later, in an interview, Maya revealed that one of those men had privately admitted to fabricating the story. But she also said she wasn't waiting around for a public apology. She had addressed it, moved on, and chose to pray for people who felt the need to tear others down just to stay relevant. This wasn't just gossip, it was a pattern. Every time Maya tried to live in peace, someone tried to drag her name into chaos. And the worst part? The media never really asked her side. They just ran with the headlines. Because in this industry, being quiet and classy makes you an easy target. But Maya, she stayed grounded. And more than that, she stayed unbothered. After all the drama, the leaks, the rumors, and the industry shade, Maya could have chased the comeback tour. She could have played the PR game, signed another deal, or attached herself to a newer, hotter artist to stay in the mix. But she didn't, and that silence started speaking louder than anything. The truth is, Maya didn't fall off. She walked away, and not just from one label or one rumor. She walked away from an entire system that tried to mold her into something she was never meant to be. She chose peace over pressure, integrity over exposure. But the industry doesn't take that kind of decision lightly. In fact, it rarely forgives it. When a woman decides she no longer needs its validation, it stops offering her opportunities. When she stops showing up at the right parties, smiling in the right rooms, playing the quiet role, they stop calling. Maya's name stopped trending, not because she wasn't talented anymore, but because she refused to play along. And for that, she was quietly boxed out. No media scandal, no blacklist, just a slow, intentional erasure, one missed invite at a time. In interviews, Maya has hinted at it. She's talked about saying no to situations that didn't align with her values, about turning down offers that required her to sell an image or compromise her boundaries. She's talked about being labeled difficult or uncooperative when all she really did was set a standard for how she expected to be treated. And that's the part most people miss. The industry doesn't always break you in public. Sometimes it breaks you in silence. It stops your momentum, holds back the funding, buries your projects, and waits for you to give up. But Maya never gave them that satisfaction. She kept creating, kept releasing music independently, kept performing around the world. No chart-topping singles, no viral moments, no big label push, just consistency, quiet resilience. The kind that doesn't make headlines, but keeps your name alive in the hearts of real fans. So was she blackballed? Or was she simply done trying to earn the approval of an industry that had already shown her it couldn't be trusted? While the mainstream forgot her name, Maya was quietly building something most artists never achieve: freedom. She didn't just survive outside the machine. She started thriving in her own lane. She leaned fully into her independence, started dropping albums when she felt like it, funded her own visuals, owned her masters, built a direct relationship with her fan base. It wasn't flashy, but it was solid. And then came the plot twist that had everyone talking. Photos hit the internet of Maya in a wedding dress, barefoot on a beach, no groom in sight. Social media went into a frenzy. Did she get married in secret? Was it a stunt? Turns out, she married herself. Not legally, symbolically, as part of a music video centered on self-love and commitment to her own growth. Of course, the media spun it as strange and dramatic. But for Maya, it was her way of reclaiming peace. After years of being picked apart, sexualized, and overlooked, she chose herself, fully. She also changed her lifestyle. She became a raw vegan, started aging in reverse, and turned her wellness journey into part of her brand. At 44, she was glowing, thriving, and looking more unbothered than ever. Maya's reinvention wasn't loud. It was intentional. She chose to be her own label, her own partner, and her own peace. So what really happened to Maya? She didn't fade out. She didn't get exposed. She didn't spiral like so many others from her era. What she did was even more radical. She chose herself. In an industry that demands submission, she refused to play along. When labels pushed back, she walked. When people lied on her name, she held her ground. And when the machine stopped calling, she didn't beg to be let back in. Maya quietly built a career on her own terms. No scandals, no stunts, no desperation. Just pure artistry, self-respect, and a whole lot of patience. She may not be headlining award shows or topping charts, but she has something far more rare in this business: ownership of her music, her name, and her peace. She's the kind of artist who reminds us that freedom costs something: visibility, validation, popularity. But if you're willing to let go of that, maybe you get something even better in return. So now, the question is this: did the industry blackball Maya for saying no? Or did she beat them at their own game by walking away before they could break her? Let us know what you think in the comments.